understanding is that one of the reasons why people are unhappy in their life is because they know very little about the mind. And fundamentally, because they know very little about the mind, is what, like, there are things that is within the mind. There's forces, powers, surges, laws, things that are within the mind that you people don't know too much about. That is affecting their behavior, affecting their their thinking and their actions and their habits.
Right.
And then they're trying to modify these things with very little information innocently. This is the and then but the way to the amount of information we know about the mind is like I see why that's the case. You can see over. I'll tell you why that's the case is very little. And what we know as psychology or about the mind is basically just biological descriptions about effects.
Right. So you're saying there's even more that it's still untapped.
Oh,
is that what you mean?
I would say we probably tap 0.01%.
Wow! Can you imagine? That's crazy.
Yeah. So so it's the reason it's that it's supposed to be hidden. You will see why that's the case. It's like there's a system that runs in the background that keeps the mind hidden, and it's working hidden away.
Okay. Is that the unconscious or the subconscious?
No. The it's not the subconscious that keeps it hidden away. It's there's a system that keeps it hidden away. We'll talk about that, and it's supposed to keep it hidden away. And the way it's there to do that is that because then hold on, let me. It's supposed to keep it hidden away because then it can be used by different processes on accord. But we'll talk about that. But the reason, pretty much the reason what prevents people's ultimate success and happiness is lack of understanding of the mind. But more you get understanding of the mind and how it works in a very specific way that we will talk about, you will see that it will free. It's the same, like it will start freeing up the mind. It will start bringing you relaxation. It will bring you freedom. But it will first kind of rub you the wrong way. Because if this information has a tendency to crank your mind or yourself to go in the other way, because your mind, it has a way of thinking already.
Like even if you're going in there with like an open mind, is that what
yeah
you really
even if you're going with an open mind, it's great. That's a foundation. If you have an open mind, you will understand these things quickly.
Okay.
But what happens with the mind, we'll talk about that later. It still has, even though it has that, a lot of people have, thankfully have developed that who come to me. But the level of really their openness comes down to their level of arrogance that they see within themselves.
Okay.
So if they see them as highly arrogant, they see them clearly a little bit more. But people like, no, I'm not arrogant at all. I'm already a nice person. I'm always doing it. They don't really cleanly see themselves yet.
Okay.
You need to see, like you will see over time, it's like, oh, I have both sides. I have a really good side of me, and I have a very arrogant side that comes out when things are not going my way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that kind of objectivity gives you openness.
I see. Okay.
That's the foundation.
Right.
Lack of, you know what I mean? Lack of openness about figuring out your own weaknesses, specifically the mind's weaknesses, is the reason for its unhappiness and its failure. Like your life successes, your life's difficulties are coming from essentially not because you're a bad person or you're even wrong, you're using the wrong systems. It's actually because you don't, like, the mind doesn't know about the mind, and you don't know about the waves of the mind and things like that. So you will see what the patterns and the laws the mind works under. So they are universal. You will see that's why I call universal laws, and it's called, that's what Buddhists call dharma.
I see.
Nature of things or law.
Okay.
So we like what I'm looking, it's not I'm looking to find these laws of the mind, and then there are the laws of the universe, which is the same things eventually you see. Okay. So with this understanding also, it has the assumption. It doesn't mean that you need to know this, like, oh, this is what it is right now, I need to believe this. This is the perception it is taking. So the way in this model or this type of training system, it assumes that you're not the mind. You're actually just you are consciousness, and your awareness. That's more specifically who you are right now, if you want to divide that way. But you are not your mind. So how do you know this? Is that you can pay attention to something, not have and then not have thoughts about it, if you want. You know what I mean? Like, for example, like
you mean like blanking out, sort of? Like, what do you mean
Yeah.
by not having thoughts about it?
Exactly, blanking out. You can just look at something, just observing only. No thoughts are coming. Because I can look at that tree, neither think anything of, like, not have any thoughts about it. But I can look at that tree and say, oh, that tree is beautiful, that tree is green, that tree is tall. Those are the things that I generate with the mind. But I can still look at that tree and not call it, just that's the shape and everything. Observe that.
Right.
So that's just awareness. You're not thinking anything. You're not judging. You're not comparing. You're not saying this is a good tree, this is a bad tree. You're not bringing memories out from your mind. You know what I mean?
Because in our mind at that time, it's just a tree, right? Like we're not seeing the
even trees. You might even see it. Just you see colors, and it's like that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah, we're not thinking too much about it.
Classification is auto-generated. Or this tree is a good tree, that's a tall tree, that's a big tree. All of that is automatically generated with your mind as soon as you put your eyes onto something.
But when you're with a person, it is always, we are always in thought mode. I don't know if, I've not seen, or I've not gone through any time where I'm just blank when there's a person involved.
Exactly. Good recognition. Because that's because your awareness doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the mind. Your mind is generating and governing your awareness and coming up with thoughts about other people automatically from the past. Your awareness, you will see why that's specifically known as an untrained mind. Basically, it does actions before the owner allows the mind to do action.
Okay.
Basically, your mind belongs to you, but the mind you belong to it right now.
I belong. Okay, I'm confused. Sorry. Yeah. The mind belongs to you, but
you are awareness. You have awareness, but when you look at something, you can think, you can categorize something, and that becomes your mind, right? That because you're using memories and things like that. Correct. But what has happened is that you have become so unaware and not have started to pay attention to things. Now the mind is running on its own. So I'll give you an example how you know. In a 24-hour period, how much like self-control do you have to direct your awareness to do what you want to get done?
It's a good question. If I'm putting it into a percentage, maybe like 50% if I'm lucky that day, or maybe 60%.
Well, 50% is advanced. If you're 50% awake in the day, 24-hour period, that means you're up and like alive for 20, like fully conscious for 12.
Really?
Yeah, that's 12 hours. You're like fully awake of your awareness and know exactly what you're doing in life, and you're fully directing, and it's full control. We don't have full control. We have full control of 5, maybe 10%.
Really? Yeah. Okay. Then maybe that's an exaggerated command. Okay.
Yeah, that's, you see, because we can't, like, I mean, when you get the mental training, the whole purpose is to give you control back. This is to expand that. You might be 50% for you. I'm not saying it's 50%. I'm just saying a lot of people, they are not aware and they cannot control their emotions. They cannot control their thoughts.
I agree.
You know, it's running on its own without your awareness in the background. And then as you get more control, you become more disciplined. You can direct certain things. You can create things. You can become more happier, and you're less controlled by the mind. Right now, neither the mind is free, and it's neither bringing you any freedom.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the foundation. Also, that's like you can see your awareness is separate. Okay, that's mine, and that's where I gotta go fix things. Right. So it's basically fixing means changing perceptions, obviously, right? Like essentially that's the idea. looking at things differently.
Mhm.
So one of the things that important to know is that many people, when we started to look at the mind, they started to go into this original mode of criticizing their own identity. Your
Mhm.
mind and your identity is nothing to do with each other. However, the mind believes it is as such.
Mhm.
Your identity, your awareness was not defined by the mind. It was defined by God, your
So your
creator.
awareness and identity is the same thing?
Yes.
I see. Okay.
Yes. Your consciousness or your identity, your awareness is not defined by your mind. It's already pre-created. God
Mhm.
created perfect. Your
Right.
awareness already perfect.
Mm.
You might not have perfect awareness because you don't have a perfect mind yet. That's okay. That's a different story. We'll talk about that. That's what we're going to talk about.
Right.
But the fundamental understanding, it doesn't matter what mistakes you make with your mind.
Mhm.
You are not guilty. You cannot be guilty. That's the foundation.
Okay.
Like you can make all kinds of mistakes with your mind, not guilty. That's foundational. That cannot be changed because mind will convince you otherwise because it cannot think thoughts.
Mm.
This, it cannot make exceptions, but it's
that.
how it is. Yeah, because it doesn't belong, that aspect doesn't belong to it.
I see.
Everything else, it can belong to.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we kind of talk about this. So basically the reason why you have suffering
Mm.
is because your mind is undisciplined and doesn't see things clearly, like even the fact that was earlier, that was true. It's convinced that it knows things about you without knowing anything about you. It's how it is. It hasn't
Right.
learned. Like if you ask mind, how much do you know about me? It doesn't know. But it's very quick to judge you though.
Mm. That's
You know what I
makes
mean?
sense. Yeah. So
it's
why do so when anger erupts, right, in people, like that's a form of suffering, right?
Yes.
So that's that's undisciplined. At that
Absolutely.
point?
So that now we're getting into good stuff. So let me see. So the reason why people have anger,
Mm.
why people have depression, why
Mhm.
people have all of what you known as clashes of the mind, or in Buddhistic terms known as klesha, so clashes, like depression, anxiety, anger, irritation, sadness, all of it comes down to one specific factor: too many expectations.
You told me this before, yeah.
Too many
Okay.
expectations and too much hopes and too much importance towards those expectations. The mind automatically finds expectations, puts importance, and then make you do the work. So you might say, okay, so what is this? How do they? So your expectations are coming from, not from you. It's coming from your society. Because all your goals are not technically yours. They are basically borrowed from society. What I mean, the person who doesn't usually set goals, they usually have, I need to get this degree, I need to have kids, I need to have this much money, I need to have this car, I need to have this house, right? It's a program. There's each stage have a program. Each stage in life, when you're born, you're going through school, right? When you're born, after you reach a certain age, you have to go through school, and then you have to pass certain exams, and and then go through all the grades. They're set up. You're expected.
So it's something I learned recently. Apparently, like kids, right, from the age of like 0 to 7 years, that it's apparently called the imprint period, where their minds are like sponges, like so they accumulate every single thing, good, bad, it can't differentiate apparently, and it just consumes every one of them for the first 7 years, and that's apparently what is the next stage of development from then on. right?
It's true.
Mm.
It is essentially is that but what I see is that it doesn't actually finishes off. You develop things into 25 years of age, 25 to 30 years of age of expectations.
I see.
Yeah. What you should be doing as a man and a woman in life, gender roles, like what you need to be doing at specific age, all things is kind of get predefined for you.
Mhm.
As that's why when you're a child, you don't know these expectations. You're not governed by them. You're happy.
Correct.
You're playing.
Correct.
You're being like enjoying life the way you're supposed to. Playing
Yeah.
sports. Crying when you have to. Eating when you're eating food when you're hungry. Doing what you do. No weight loss programs. No fasts and stuff.
That's
And no like trying to build companies. You just play. You sleep when you're tired. So
That's it. Yeah.
very it's not a lot of expectations. You're kind of enjoying life as it comes. But
Mm.
once you increase in age, you kind of, a society asks you to be more responsible, more take
Mhm.
on different things for you to do. And it just sets certain goals that it asks you to do without your awareness. That's what I
Correct.
mean. You don't even know what some of those goals are. But I know, Suvin, you would set specific goals anyway on your own. But a lot of people, they don't do that. Their goals are more subconscious, and they
Yeah.
are and then just very also hazy. They don't know this is that what they just like. They think they need to get rich. They think they need to get a car. They think they
Mhm.
need to get a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I used to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, they think they need to do this, and then by the time certain age goes by, and they're like, oh, they're not there.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Very true.
then people never took action and never took the steps to do that either, but never understood that they might be just following a script, or following a specific expectation set that gets
Mhm.
set for age by age. And it changes slightly by culture, but there are certain universalities. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
especially there are especially things like marriage and work and attitudes towards family and responsibility. They tend to stay the same in most
Right.
cases. You know what I mean? They're not
Mhm.
bad. I'm just saying that's how people's mind is governed and run by, and then the level of importance you put onto these expectations can cause havoc if they're conflicting expectations,
I agree. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So you might say, oh, you need to have a child and you need to work on your career and build a business,
Mhm.
right? And be a social media star. So that's a lot of expectations,
Correct.
and that's not defined by you.
Yeah.
It's just something society thought that was good. You and everybody talk about how good it is, and you're like, yeah, that seems like a great idea. I should do that too.
Mhm. And you follow basically.
And you follow, and then you
Yeah.
direct yourself, and you say, why do I have burnout? Why do I have depression? Why do I have anxiety? Why do I have stress?
Correct.
Well, how important is your expectations, and how many of do you have? So your expectations make your mind very undisciplined,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Because your goals are not even yours. So you have to become, so this is what I consider to be, if you understand this, you will realize you can come to a point that you can start shedding some of these expectations and importance,
Mm-hmm.
and taking on and setting goals that are more meaningful for you, creating
Mm-hmm.
projects that are more meaningful for you, doing things that are more meaningful for you. But if you don't understand this natural tendency of the mind to put excessive importance towards goals and expectations, it will continue to run in the loop of not recognizing certain aspect of reality.
Right. So that means you go back to being undisciplined, which means suffering again, right?
Because you're not aware.
Yeah.
That's what I
got it.
mean. It goes hand in hand. So the
Mm.
system kind of feeds you to be not aware and do very ridiculous, like illogical things almost, hoping that you will find answers for it.
True. That's true.
Go to this person, go to that person, read this book, read this, endless. Just keep cycling.
Yeah. Agree.
Trying to solve the market or the society has offered you. Now you have internalized because you cannot fulfill all of them at once. Now you are responsible to paying, going everywhere and figuring out an issue, resolving.
Agreed. Agreed.
wrecking your awareness and your body and yourself instead of enjoying your time.
Yeah.
So now ask how much of that do you do, and how much of it do you see other people around you do, right? So it's a now is an internal analysis, because it is not a lot to this.
Mm.
It's just there's a recognition, and then recognizing how stupid you were. That's literally what, right? Right. And then that recognition of stupidity causes you to think about, okay, why, what do I got to do to increase my awareness of this? How do I do things the right way? So that sets up the foundation for your own mind to seek the answer to how to resolve. So this is, again, just the foundation. You will see there's a lot to this, but this is the foundation that will open up the mind the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, there is a problem. And the problem is that my mind is stuck by expectations of society.
Yeah.
So what are the ways that you can overcome the challenges, right? The reason why even the society even tells you it's okay to be arrogant. It's okay to put people each other down. It's okay to show off your skills and abilities when it's not there. This makes you blind. Your arrogance makes you blind. It makes you not see things clearly.
Because like a filter, right? Sort of.
Yes, exactly. What you will see, what brings you the greatest benefit for your life, especially to bringing happiness and success, and also bring more peace to your soul, is being and started to analyze the weaknesses of the mind, the behavior of the mind.
Does arrogance stem from fear?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Yes. Arrogance specifically stems from fear of being ridiculed and being punished. So there are many reasons why the mind believes the child or the owner is guilty. Many reasons, but none of the reasons are true. But it can be many reasons. It's hidden away, the reasons.
Right.
But one of the ways to overcome fear is words. Use words, write and speak, and write and speak and write. People who have a hard time speaking their heart are fearful.
Correct.
Because they're worried about what other people will say, and the judgment and the repercussions of it.
Very true. Very true. Yeah.
The process of overcoming fear involves words, writing and speaking, and challenging yourself to do it over and over and over and over again. But many people, that's what also known as confession. Right? You start to confess things within you, and it's again like the way to train your mind. You start being completely honest with yourself. You're starting to. You keep your mind free. You don't stress your mind. You recognize what happened to you. You realize, look, expectation doesn't need to govern me. I can relax if I want. I don't need to be doing these nexting things to get ahead in life. That's what society wants me to do, get ahead in life.
Correct.
Right? But because you have not fulfilled your expectations. Get ahead with those things, please.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? No, they are there. I'll do it on my own accord.
Yeah, instead of being basically forced in, and then when it's forced, you're actually giving importance to it, right? Right?
And then control.
That can, yeah, that makes sense. And there's conflict if it's let's say a parent who's enforcing that, it ends up having a bit of a conflict, right?
True. It has like 4 effects if your parent is convincing you. I'll tell you how. 4 people are trying. 4 voices are there. Because you probably want the same, but you can't do it.
Right.
Do it. Like you can't do it. Like, so there's 2 voices telling you, and then the one voice saying, like, no, I can't. You know what I mean? So there's the same mom telling you, and then the voice within you that yells at the mom.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
4 voices.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. So you have to accept the way one of the ways I learn how to train people is accept your expectations and being annihilated. Might not happen.
What do you mean by annihilated?
That means your expectations might not come true. Accept
Okay.
it. Accept it. I still have expectations. I just don't have a lot of expectations they need to come true.
Right.
They don't need to come true. They don't need to be driving. They don't need to be the driving force in my life. They could be things that I do in my life that makes my life beautiful.
Very interesting.
You know what I mean? But it's not how it's used. They're almost like luxuries. Marriage, a luxury. Great car, a luxury. House, a luxury.
Correct.
They don't become luxurious if they become a burden.
Yes.
They become a burden if you have a lot of expectation. That's how it is.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Society says, nope. Luxury? Bro, you gotta do that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Very true. Makes sense. Yeah.
You have to do that stuff. That's the problem. You have to be that. You have to. Otherwise, guilty.
Yeah.
Otherwise, God's gonna come and punish your ass.
I swear, right? Oh my God, I used to believe that.
That's how the control functions.
Yeah.
How people, yeah. Because people don't know any better.
No.
It's just societal, because religion changes from culture to culture. Even the same religion changes, but then you have to follow it. Like you go to another country, you have to follow these rules now. What?
That's true.
Which rule?
Even one religion has many rules within. You know what I mean? Segregations, and then like rules within those segregations. Right. So.
And then you have to follow those expectations and like importance and put importance and fulfill them.
Yeah.
How many? How many do you have to remember?
True.
When is it going to end? Just changes from different ones from stages to stage of life. This is what I'm saying. You can choose. You can choose what you participate in. You don't. Your mind doesn't need to choose it.
Okay.
That's the difference. You can choose what you're gonna do. You can choose what goals you choose. You say, no, this is what I'm gonna do. Why am I doing other thinking about this stuff? Do this. Where is that? Right? So, and again, a lot of people don't understand is that the untrained mind is not also very disciplined, also not very consistent. So a lot of the things that it asks, it never end up getting because of his lack of consistency.
You mean like day-to-day consistency? What do you mean by consistency?
Day-to-day consistency is not consistent with its words. It's not consistent with what it wants. It changes. What if you look at your life? It changes from very rapidly what you want. Somebody else has what you want, then it changes. Like I want that. Now you want this. Now you want that. That's an undisciplined mind, untrained mind. If it changes like that.
So how do we make it more consistent on a day-to-day basis?
Accept first. The key thing is accept your expectations are not coming true.
Okay.
This is the first. Then whatever you will end up with is the one you really want anyway.
Right.
Right. Accept you're like just accept like, yeah, some of them are not true. So why does everything has to go my way? Then have more bigger goals. Just don't just it might not come true. Don't have everything doesn't need to come true, but have set goals though. That's what people don't know. They don't know. They don't set goals at all. They're not very specific. They don't have the direction. They don't really know what they want in life. It's just guessing and just paying attention to around them. And it's like, oh, what do you have? That sounds like a good idea. Let me do that. So like people are doing that. It's not, they're not thinking long term, not thinking about true things. It's just like haphazard. And they're wondering, why don't I have that? Why don't I have this? Right? This is one of them. And then they have a lot of them. Not 1 or 2 or 3 goals. They are like 80, 90 goals. And some of them are completed.
And it's hard to fulfill 80, 90 goals. Like, even if you have just one goal, if you can, you're right. I direct towards that one goal, that itself will make that full completion, right?
Yeah,
Mm,
that's the thing. I mean, it just people don't even have that one goal.
that's true. Yeah, I
They
agree.
have multiple non-set indefinite goals.
Like wants and needs, basically, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what they see as goals, almost like animal-like.
Mm. Right.
No long-term thinking. It's because they're responding to society and situations.
Mm.
It's a very
Fair.
short-term thing. Untrained mind is very short-term thinking. It's a sign.
Mm.
Trained, disciplined mind is very long-term thing, 30, 40, 100 years long, maybe even longer. It's how they
Interesting.
think. It's how it is. It's there are patterns that show up when you keep training in this specific.
Mm.
But the primary reason, expectations, hopes, clinging to things, rejecting things, like for example, another expectations goes both ways, by the way. So for example, like say that somebody doesn't do what you want them to do,
Mm.
and you start to develop hate and anger towards them.
Correct.
It goes both ways. It's both clingingness or craving, wanting something overtly importance,
So
right?
that's more of isn't that same as desperation?
Yeah, that's desperation, but
Yeah.
it's also you cannot do anything else without thinking about the reward. This is the primary, the mind is untrained. It cannot participate in activities without convincing itself the results are coming.
Not convincing. Yeah, the outcome, basically. Okay.
Yeah, it cannot just enjoy the work itself and derive pleasure from it yet, because it doesn't know how. Doesn't mean that it cannot be done.
Mm.
I'm just saying it just doesn't know how to enjoy pleasure from being in the present, enjoying the work, using existing challenges as like gaming, and learning how to enjoy that process of doing the work, of day-to-day life, and they're just hoping to go to that next phase that they can start enjoying.
Mm.
The mind, that's what believes, like, oh, let me go to the next phase so I can start enjoying. No, it doesn't come. You have to create space within right now to do that. But we will talk about how to do that more practically and more technically, and I would say scientifically, because it's replicable, right?
Mhm.
So there are ways to do that. We'll talk about that. But first, the foundational understanding how your mind starts hating things, developing anger,
Mhm.
and how it starts developing too much desire. It's so
Yeah.
important to know that, because that's how you get controlled. That's how the matrix or the societal norms and the beliefs controls your mind.
Mm. Because it's controlling an undisciplined mind, basically, right? That's why.
Precisely. The fact that it can be controlled makes it undisciplined.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. Okay.
And then the fact that it's also like it just doesn't know that it's arrogant also makes it undisciplined, because arrogance, you see, it's like a big blinder to your awareness. It's like
Yeah,
a
that's
it's
the
both.
ego, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's ego, but some of the descriptions is what you need to know. Like, because it's easy to say, "Oh, I have an ego. I might be arrogant." That's true, but
Mhm.
knowing how and what it does is key. So let me tell you some of the things that it does. Do you see my screen? No.
Yeah.
Oh, you see the my mind one. Okay, yeah, that's not the one. But I'll say some of the things. So some of the characteristics of like arrogance is that showing as you're superior to others, being offended and sensitive when others are seen as superior to you, excessive pride in yourself,
Mhm.
excessive pride in admiration on one's appearance or achievements, an attitude of patronizing superiority, rude and disrespectful behavior, making others feel small and making them feel bad, exaggerated sense of value and importance, feeling that someone or something is unworthy of consideration and respect, compares oneself to others based on social status and wealth, pretends to have completed work that have not completed to claim status or status or quality, ridiculing or mocking somebody for something provoking, or making fun of someone for her in a hurtful way to put them in their place, enjoying and mocking others' misfortune, unable to bear others' success, behavior, speech, and writing that is artificially designed to impress. So these are some of the things.
Right.
Wow.
Right. So I have a book that I have a short book I'm writing about these characteristics of the mind. You will get with that as well. But when you realize these things are about your mind and these tendencies, even at the subconscious, you will see that you started to develop understanding. You started to have less pain and suffering that is coming from because of your own arrogance or own unknowing, essentially.
Question for you. So if a person thinks, person means even us, right? If we think someone else, say in some form or way, is better than us, that's also a form of arrogance. I think the second or third point that you mentioned. So I was thinking, how does that sound as arrogance? Isn't that more of
admiration is okay. Admiration is fine. Seeing others as have a better understanding as you, more than you, that's proper understanding, right? But
that's not okay. So maybe I misunderstood.
Admiration for yourself is usually so there's no I don't know if there's a specific. So one of the things is like showing as you're superior to others, being offended and sensitive to others when others superiority is seen, right? Like being offended when others when others are appearing as superior or showing off, you get offended. That's also a sign of arrogance because you don't like other people being better than you.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And excessive pride in oneself, excessive pride. You see, all right. It's the E. Excessive pride in admiration, excessive pride or admiration in one's appearance or achievements. So excessive pride in your own achievement.
Right.
This is arrogance because this is now you're being happy. You shouldn't be happy about your achievement. You should be happy with the fact you have delivered the results for people. You have delivered value for people because that was the meaning of your skills. But the undisciplined thinks their skills and their achievements for themselves.
Right.
Because they don't see the meaning behind their achievements. Their achievements are not just medals that should be there. The medal you get for entertaining people. So, you know what I mean? You don't get a medal for just running fast.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
Because what's the point? You get medal for because a lot of people you ran fast out of everybody and entertained us. So same with value, like you get skills to help others, train others, make them better. But people get happy and they keep medals on their walls without being able to deliver value. That's arrogance. Because that's what they feel special, because they feel they're like not good enough. But your good enoughness not coming from God, it's coming from your mind. That society made you feel that way. And make you do all kinds of activities because you're not good enough.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
Right? He's trying to doing like, you need to do this, you need to do that. Otherwise, then you feel a good person. Then you're a whole person.
Exactly.
No, by the time you ask the person who have done all of it, they were like, man, I'm still guilty because I didn't do this stuff. So your mind, a pattern that you'll recognize about the mind is that no matter what action you will do, it will make you feel guilty. It's how it is. It just there are certain characteristics of the mind. So don't be alarmed when these things come to your mind. You know, the mind goes, the emotions are very rhythmic, and it's like wave-like. It's like it makes you happy. It goes down. It goes down. It goes happy, and it's very. You can know exactly when it becomes happy and unhappy and happy. It's always happy when you.
It's like a sine wave, basically, right?
Precisely.
Yeah.
So it works. You can even predict it. Like, for example, when the expectations are met, it becomes happy.
Hmm.
And then when the expectations are not met, it becomes unhappy.
Unhappy. Yeah. Got it.
You know what I mean? So it just basically goes back and forth between those two.
Hmm. That's interesting.
Do you know what I mean? So that's essentially the way you get pendulumed around, swung around. And then you just like, oh yeah, I don't, and then you get tired just because moved around. You continually being thrown back and forth of emotions. Know that things in your life, expectations are not going to go your way. Not everything will go your right. Right? Don't let your emotions be attached. That's problem with people is that they think that when something doesn't go right, they should need to attach also like a negative emotion to it. They think that's the right response. It's not a right response. If they know the negative, one thing is like, you know what, people feel like, you know what, if they cry about something when they don't know, that's the right response because that's what everybody does. You don't need to respond that way. People think that's what they got to do. You don't need to do that. That in doing, in fact, makes your life difficult to live because sadness, initiating emotion makes your life difficult to live, and you're actually your reality, you're making it worse if you know the effects of it. But people don't know. They think like, oh, I should just cry when things don't go my way. What else are you supposed to do?
Correct.
You don't need to. That's not the only time you get to have something or not have something.
That's true.
People mind doesn't remember. It's like, no, it has to go. Every one of them, I set a goal. I need to go my way. Otherwise, I'm not happy. That's how it is. I am a baby like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very true.
Right? And then it remembers how when it didn't get its way, when he was a child, when he was a baby, you know what your mommy did when you didn't get things your way?
Exactly. You
cried.
You create tantrums.
Yeah, you cried and you got. Well, sometimes you still go to that state. That's how the untrained mind does. It's like, guys, nothing works. We'll try this.
Exactly.
Doesn't work. Society doesn't give you things. Some of them, if they really feel bad for you, will do it, and that they're sending the wrong message. You cry and you get wrong message. You try and you get is the right message.
Cry. Got it.
It's very important to distinguish because people are natural responses. You can override them because you know that's what you're supposed to do. You don't get, you cry. You don't get, you get upset. Why? You ask these questions. You start blaming yourself. And then when things are like, you become arrogant. You feel like, oh, now everything's going my way. You get 2, 3, 4 successes. You become overly arrogant.
Correct.
And then now you're on the wrong path again. You see, this is the problem. People blame themselves when they get quickly things wrong. When they get few things right, they started to become too arrogant. That's what the mind, undisciplined science of undisciplined mind, they come to conclusions too fast, not knowing anything about anything.
So that's a reaction in a way, no?
It's cryptic. Right? It's pendulum. It's cryptic. It's matrix-like. It's the predefined responses.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Predefined response. That's very interesting. I've never heard of that before.
They are predefined responses, and these predefined responses cause you to be greedy, competitive, makes you think show off, makes you vengeful, make you arrogant, make you inconsistent, forgetful, and lazy. This is the thing. These are predefined responses. You have your job to train to overcome them.
Right. I can relate to that.
Yeah, and then the more you know about them, guess what? The way you train them, according to this method, more you call out the things that the mind doesn't call out for itself, you call out, the training is begun and has ended. This is the training.
What do you mean by ended?
So basically, after this conversation, you will be a lot more understanding of situations than you were before.
Right.
So it ends and begins at the same time. So as soon as we start talking about the mind.
I see what you mean. Okay, I get your point now. Okay.
So you don't need to go necessarily say, oh, I need to go practice more. No, done. Talking about something that it is not doing and showing, well, look, there is a way you can do it. And look, you don't hate the mind. You don't hate yourself. This is how things are. This is recognizing reality.
Accepting
accepting it.
Yeah.
This is how I am. Yeah, I can be a little bit greedy. I can become. So you don't think other people are? You don't know why they became that way? You don't know that they're governed by matrix. You don't know that they're governed by untrained mind. You don't know that they're governed by conditioned forces and responses just as you are. You still can't tell the difference, right? So that's why you question it.
Correct.
You don't need to react when the others are reacting. No, they're pendulum. They are waving. Someday they will love you. Someday they hate you. Someday they love you. You know that pattern.
Correct.
Society is like that. Society will love you as long as you're giving things. If you start to talk negatively about society, it will hate you. And if you start good things about it, imagine go to YouTube and start producing some YouTube videos about how good India is, see how many followers you get.
Correct.
And you talk about how bad India is, you see how many people, how much hate you get. Very predictable, bro.
Yeah. Very true.
Very predictable. It's people don't know they're governed by these associations. These are these attachments and importance.
Very true. That's a lot of minds. A lot of undisciplined minds in this world.
Yeah, and then they don't understand why they have. Because I told you, why do they feel distressed? Importance is excessive importance. Into continually their nationalistic beliefs, pride, duty, honor, different things. They have given importance. So you can choose. Those are great concepts, ideologies. Only ideology that is true, God loves me. That's it. And love, that's it. And if you can love God, that's great. If you can, that's also fine. He doesn't care. But that is not going to change. That's not going to change. That's what I'm saying. That's only true. Everything else you make up on your way as you go do things and you learn on the way.
Right.
So when you become really advanced with your mind, you are able to do and take on abilities and skills in order more than happiness. You'll be free from the governance of the responses, conditioned responses. Like, the more you talk about it, the more the cells of recognitions gets initiated. This is what you call an initiating process, because you need to initiate to recognize this. You need to initiate your awareness.
I see.
Awareness, because what we're doing is actually mindfulness training, technically, because we're talking about the mind over and over again, objectively. The mind doesn't like this initially. If you have a very undisciplined mind, you will start questioning, oh, what do you know about the mind? How do you know about the mind? I was like, correct. These are what I know about the mind, bro. You can learn anything you want from somewhere else. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's how it is. It's the mind will question.
Right.
What do you know? How do you know? How do you know this is effective? Well, it's effective for me. That's it. You can figure it out. You will see that it's always coming up with reasons to question you. That's how your mind is. Understand the waves. It will love you and hate you and love you. I know it for now, and then eventually it will always love you. Don't worry about that now for now. Don't get there. Don't force yourself to tell you that.
Just leave it as a sine wave.
Yeah, it is. It's pendulums around. The strong, the importance, higher the swings.
Oh, you mean the more that means you're putting more expectations, right? You're putting a lot of expectations on it. That's why it's higher.
So expectation. It's both volume and intensity. The dimensions are number of expectations, and then the intensity of those expectations. Some of those expectations have high intensity. Some of them are not as intense.
I see.
And what I call the intensity is importance.
Okay.
So, for example, like something might be really important for me. Another expectations might not be. They go up and down, right?
Right.
Different expectations. They just come into your life different times. Increase, decrease, talking to different people, increase, decrease. Right? All of a sudden now have to think about your mind. Now importance goes up. Now you have to think about career, money, mom, dad, Sajin, and now the mind.
Exactly.
That becomes hectic. You will see your mind's like, fuck this. I can't pay attention to mind and like pay attention to Sajin and all. You know it's a pattern.
It's a pattern, yeah.
Yeah, well, you have no choice. This is the only thing that you can help you get over issues. This is what I realized. I realized I cannot solve the issue by solving the issue. I have to solve the issue what causes the issue, which is my mind.
Yeah, true. That's where, yeah, that's the root.
Yeah, the mind doesn't want to learn about how to cause a problem because it doesn't believe that it has an issue with its mind.
Yeah.
It doesn't believe it's undisciplined. It doesn't believe it's competitive. It doesn't believe it's greedy. It doesn't believe it doesn't believe in, it believes in lies and illusions and temporariness.
Very strongly, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh no, I'm good. Well, how's your life? How's your goals, happiness, stress? Good? Good, then good. Teach me.
That's true. It's very hard.
What about teach me? We need this.
Yeah, very true. Because it's hard for people to like, just that question you asked, right? How when you ask them, how is your life going? How are things? It's hard for people to go and talk about the negative straight away, right? Because
the natural response. What is the conditioned response?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. And then they think they're good and they lie to themselves and they forgot that their things are shitty.
Yeah, and then
they don't do anything to fix it.
Yeah,
and then they accept like, oh no, that's how everybody's life is. But
yeah,
that's what happens, right? Usually, like you see other people like having issues, like, oh no, that's how everybody's life is. Who gives a shit? You gotta learn how to deal with it.
Yeah.
So this is the foundational understanding. So you will see, like we'll talk more about like where we started to enjoy some of the stress, because that we will tell you where once you drop importance, now we will tell you how to take on importance, how to take on stress and use them for your advantage, and then manipulate that energy as consume that energy to develop more stronger with your mind and abilities. We'll talk more about that in our following sessions. Yeah. So the idea is that, this is the foundational understanding what has happened. Okay. This is the foundation, and then we will talk about how to deal with specific scenarios. So you will see, when you now you know about this mind, the mind will come in and try to test you, see how much of the understanding you can retain. Either whether you know it does it has done to me. It will give you scenarios where people around you doesn't act the way you want, things you don't get, things you want, right? And then it's kind of almost testing to see, can you apply what you have learned?
Right.
The rhythm, can you pay attention to the rhythm? Can you go with time? Can you pay attention to the film as they? So you just kind of have to see these things now, right? So understand this rhythmic nature, and then just let it, these things matter.
Right? Accept it, like you said, yeah.
Accept the pendulum-like nature, dualistic nature, these things that are existing within the mind. Because your mind is going to be, next morning is like, oh, I understand, this is great. Tomorrow morning is like, well, I don't remember anything. My problems are back to me again. It's like, oh, that's what did I expect? Why things have to go my way?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then we will do this again in a week, and you will see, it's the same understanding, but it will be low every day, because now you will start activating within you. Every day you will see it will be a little bit easier, little bit better, right? But every challenge you have, look at it as it's good for me. And it's good. It's because it has both psychological effect and a metaphysical effect, and it is actually good for you, because all the problems you eventually look back in your life is what would have given you strength, ability, and wisdom, and mental fortitude. Nothing else gives you strength other than your stress.
It's true. It's It's stress or anger. I just had one of those that I'm like, how do I deal with this? Sometimes you get
anger is uncontrolled stress, uncontrolled energy.
Undisciplined. Yeah.
Uncontrolled. So basically, stress. You will see. We'll get into this last point because I think it's important. So you know the stress you feel, it's feel like conflict, right?
Correct.
Right. So basically, the reason why you have conflict is this multiple expectation is trying to get your attention and trying should I do this? Did I do the right thing? Did I do it right here? What do I do about this? All of them are trying to get attention. Just understand that. Just pressure in your psyche. Right. They're just energy. They're not really pressure. They're not stress. They're just energy. They're just more like a trying to push, right? Trying to get
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's like pressure. So
constricting.
Some of those things are like, yeah, it's okay. That's how it is.
you see what I mean? So now, like, okay, I'm in a calm state, right?
Yeah.
When let's say I am in that state, that
Yes.
reactive state at that point,
Yes.
how do you trigger yourself, or not trigger? How do you put yourself into a state of awareness where you're like, okay, I'm having these thoughts, these anger, I'm like,
Yes.
I want to punch someone, whatever it is, right? At that instant, being able to accept that, oh, this is how it is.
Yeah.
How do you do that versus now I can accept it because I'm in
Fair.
a calm state. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what I do is like I accept I'm that kind of person. I get angry. I want to punch people in the face.
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person. That's it.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. So you're accepting that about you, basically.
yeah, I'm that kind of person.
Okay.
I'm greedy. I am competitive. I show off. I'm arrogant. I'm inconsistent. I'm forgetful. I'm lazy. I'm that kind of person. Why?
Right.
I'm angry. You punch some people in the face.
Exactly.
I'm aware that I am.
Yeah, that's true. So she
Yeah.
just accepted.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am that.
And then other people, I want to put people on my neck and then carry them forward.
That's true. That's
I'm
very
both
true.
like that way.
Right.
Both sides exist within me.
Oh man.
Sometimes I punch people in the throat and drop them dead. Some people I want to put them and carry them forward until they meet God. It's how it is. That's how I am. I have both sides within me. It's okay. That's
Right.
called dualistic. Deal with it.
Dualistic, yeah.
I have both sides within me. It's not recognizing is the issue. Like, no, I'm not like that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That creates issue. That
Yeah, that's the issue.
creates delusion.
Yeah.
That's you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree.
the issue. No, I'm like that. So what can we do? I'm working on it myself.
That's true.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's literally, yeah. It's like right now I have no control of my situation.
Yeah.
That's
Very
how
true.
it's gonna happen, bro. Eventually, it's like, yeah, and then as much of this, like how much of it can I use it for my advantage? How much of this can I overcome? How much of this can I not respond to the conditioned way? How much of it? Not that you have to, how much of it? How much of this can I use it for my advantage? For growth, my development, my understanding, for my mental fortitude to create something. How much of it?
Mhm.
But I am like that also.
Right. I am that. Yeah, that's what I need to practice. Maybe this week. That's my
It's okay.
makes
So
sense.
what? Wow, who's coming in and damaging you? Is your undisciplined
exactly,
mind
right?
and telling you like you're a bad person? Great. That's the sign of the undisciplined. Well, you're like that. That's your style, bro. That's how you are.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Right? That's
Yeah.
that's your style. That's how you get. That's how you get upset and you get like pissy and then you piss me off and you piss everybody around you off and that's how you are. So that's it. So who cares?
Ah, life is complete.
Huh?
Life is complete.
We have both.
Oh,
We have
man.
both. We have happy and sad. Great. Completion.
Exactly.
That's wholeness. You accepted yourself.
Hmm.
You accept other people to be the same. Yeah, that's how they are. That's how the undisciplined mind is, or discipline. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
You don't make their problem your issue. That's
Right.
how they are. That's how they are. That's his style.
Hmm.
You don't make it. They might not like it. They might say like you're a bad person. No. You made peace with yourself. I'm like this. I made peace with you. You're like this. I'm like this. We're all good.
They're good. Exactly. Yeah. Fair. Makes sense.
I'm just gonna do what I want anyway. Say what I want. I don't just that's it is. You can say all kinds of you can make happy or no. I just say what I want anyway. Confessing. You think I'm practicing what I'm saying? No, just whatever inside comes out.
I agree. Yeah. I know
Otherwise, I can't do this training. Otherwise, like it would be incompatible. It's like I train and then I was like, oh, you have to be this way. You have to be no. What? The fuck?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
You have to learn to like be able to learn to calm your mind, be able to do multiple aspects. Right? Many things. Calm down, go fast, and calm down, go fast. Many things. Do math, do English, right? Learn to get there. Your mind will say, no. You want this person. You're limited this way. You can only do this. You're just an engineer. You're an analyst. You're just only no. How do you know mine?
That's true. That's true.
So
Mhm.
that's the kind of the conversation,
Yeah. Interesting
So
session.
what I got for, huh?
Interesting session.
Yeah, it's an interesting session. They're good. I'm glad.